We've got Snow Smolenski sitting here in front of us today to have a bit of a conversation for the 50th anniversary of the club. And Snow has been involved with the club for some years. Snow, can you just start by telling us how it is you ended up playing for Kalamunda or being involved with the Kalamunda District's Rugby Union Club?
Yeah, I was travelling around the world doing an OE with my girlfriend at the time, and we decided to come to Perth for the America's Cup Christmas of 1987. And we got over here and did that, and on our way back to New Zealand after a couple of years of travelling, and we really liked Perth, so we decided we'd probably hang around. I was meant to be going to play for Palmyra. I'd seen an ad in the paper, so I just happened to ring it, and they sent a guy, Roger Thurston, one of the life members, and probably I think still holds the record for the most games, first grade games for Kalamunda. Came around and saw me. He was driving a septic truck at the time. He looked like Fred Dagg with his gumboots and his long shorts and hat on, and we hit it off straight away. So I ended up going out to Kalamunda. That was in the 1988 season. Played a few seasons there. I copped quite a bad neck injury, which curtailed my career. And sort of after sulking for a year, I got into coaching.
So what grade were you playing in when you were there?
First grade.
Oh, okay. In what position?
First five or fullback.
Okay.
Played a bit of both. Yeah. So I started coaching. My first year of coaching was second grade with Jim Berry. They had a state coach coaching first grade at the time. And then...
So who were you coaching? Who did you start coaching with? What grade?
Second grade, reserve grade with Jim Berry, who is deceased now, unfortunately, but he was one of the great stalwarts of the club. And took over first grade in 1992 and coached 92, 93, 94. And then that's when my twins came along, or myself and my wife, Kaz. We were twins at that time, so that finished the coaching for a stint there. They were pretty successful years. We made finals every year, made a grand final in 94, lost it unfortunately in the Netherlands. But great memories. Probably some of the standouts in those years were the Fijian community at the club. Rex Rakai and Tommy Tamanavalu, Timi Wakanava Lagi. Sort of great players and great had families, and that was a real Fijian connection and culture at the club. Amongst Nigel Cooper was a young captain through those years, captain Kalamunda extremely well. And Coops, yeah. A lot of other memorable players and characters as well. They were very enjoyable years, yeah.
So, your children, did they ever have anything to do with the club? Are you one of the multi-generational families that went through the club?
There was a lot of people who had children about the same time as we did in those mid-90s. So there was a lot of kids running around the club sleeping under tables and that in those days. And I had I had two girls and a son. My son played for Kalamunda and age group stuff and that. So yeah, and then I've done a lot of coaching at junior level as well. I had quite a crack little team that I sort of took from under sevens all the way up to sort of virtually Colts through that same sort of era and that as well. So that was hugely satisfying watching those kids and grow up and develop in that as well. So they were pretty special times as well, yeah, in that same period. And then once we had the twins, time was a bit restricted, so I had a bit of a break from the coaching in that period. And came back and coached again in 99 and 2000, coaching first grade again then with Rex Rakai and Grant Kelly. And there was a sort of new era then. Coops was still around, and that playing and Kim Malcolm and that. But there was a lot of new players coming then, like Richard Coney Wurzel, who unfortunately passed away recently. He was one of the great legends of the club, PG Hampshire winner, and that. So yeah, a lot of great memories around that time too. Once again, we made a grand final in 2000. Unfortunately, lost that to Netherlands as well. So. Won the minor premiership and lost the grand final. So yeah, a lot of good memories around those times. Yeah.
So after that, did you continue having an association with the club? Were you still involved in any way?
Yeah, I did. Mainly, I coached a lot. That was probably when I was coaching a lot of the kids through the age group stuff, bringing them up through the grades. Jumped in, coached Colts for a couple of years.
So what time period are we talking about? How many years would you have coached in total?
It's a little bit vague after that, but probably Mid 2000s and up around then. I did coach at Guildford Grammar for that same period, so I coached. My son went there, so I coached there for a few years at Guildford. But yes, regularly came down and watched the games and that down there at Kalamunda through those years as well.
So it sounds like you coached for like well over a decade.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Kalamunda,
yeah. A lot of junior stuff, cult stuff, and sort of intermixed with the senior side of things as well. So, but it was a brilliant club. Great culture. We had a lot of fun. It was a team effort down there. There was a lot of great people involved with that club and that. And far too many to name, obviously, but we could sit here and talk about some of those characters, all day and all night.
So what kept you involved all those years?
It was a really good family club. It was a place that you could have your children running around. Great atmosphere. We did a lot of work on the social side of things as well. We had strong social committees, ran great functions, had end of year dinners at Sheraton's and Hyatts with 12-piece orchestras and things like that, which was all fundraised from club members and that. So it was just a great place to be.
Were you involved in the genesis of the Miss Kalamunda competition by any means?
Probably didn't have too much to do with Miss Kalamunda. I've been to a few and that.
It was just on last weekend.
Might have entered one or two back in the day. I wasn't an instigator in that, but we were the founding members of a committee called Wicked Promotions, which was a group of probably 8 of us or 10 of us, and we did some serious fundraising through those years, and that went towards subsidising annual dinners and things like that, so we could have some pretty flash events.
Okay, and what sort of things did you do as part of that Wicked Promotions group?
Oh, we'd have seafood days at the club, but probably the greatest fundraiser was an old barber's chair which we got from Toddy, from his auction place. It was one of those ones where you could use your foot that would go up and then you tip it back and then you'd have a tequila shot with a shot of tequila and a bit of lime. So that was probably the greatest fundraiser. I think my wife might still have the record for the most in one night of those. So it was that was probably one of our major fundraisers.
Bob Hawke of the Kalamunda Club.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So she'll hate me saying that now, but got to tell the truth, don't you?
Excellent.
Yeah. But no, just really, we watched a lot of our friends, kids all grew up through that club and around the club, and just pretty special times, to glance back on that. Yeah.
You were saying earlier that you're in the process of moving away from the hills after 25 years up here, but you actually started off living in High Wycombe.
Yeah,
when you're in Perth, you're just around the corner.
When we first moved to Perth, we had a flat in South Perth. Then we built a house in Forestfield, literally on Hartfield Road, so walking or stumbling distance from the rugby club. You didn't have to worry about driving. So, and then eventually built up the hills and moved up into the hills, and then we lived up here ever since and that. But always had an affinity to the hills and Kalamunda and Forestfield and that. But the kids have all sprouted wings and gone now, so time for a bit of a change. So we're moving up to the coast for a bit of coastal change, sea change, and I always want to have a crack at the surfing thing. So I'm going to see how I go at that now. So yeah, but still have to come out to the hills plenty of times and catch games at the club and that. Yeah.
You still attending games now?
I haven't been much recently. I've been pretty busy. I've been up north quite a bit in the last few years.
For work.
Some pretty major projects up there, time's been a bit limited, and spent a fair bit of time back in New Zealand with my mother and all that as well. So yeah, that's been a little bit tight for time recent times, but yeah, I'm determined to get back down there and catch some of those games again. Yeah.
Now, some of the highlights of the time you were there, are there any things that kind of stand out? I'm sure there's a million and one of them, but are there anything that you'd like to sort of bring to our attention while we're talking today?
Yeah, I think obviously the grand finals was special. And when I coached in '94, they hadn't made a grand final since 1979, so that was huge for us. Unfortunately, we got hit with pretty bad injuries leading into that game and a couple of suspensions as well. So, but that was huge, still hugely exciting going into playing Netherlands in the grand final, who are always our great adversary. We'd got to the stage where we were beating them through the season at times, and they'd beat us, but we were matching them pretty well. So that was special, and it was the same in 2000. The grand final 2000 was Netherlands again, and so it was special playing them. Unfortunately, we lost both of them, but we had a pretty good crack. So And that are things I certainly remember. Winning the minor premiership, we'd never won a minor premiership before 2000, so that was a huge
That was the year
achievement for us.
2000. Yeah.
We won the West Australian Sevens one year, against some good sides over at Cottesloe, so I remember that fondly.
What year was that, do you recall?
Oh, probably in the around that 90. Oh no, it wasn't. So it would have been in the around that 94, 95 era, around then. Yeah, 92, 93, 94, somewhere around that period, at any rate. But probably just the number of great people that were there. There was just a real community-minded club in that, and just a fantastic culture. That was probably the biggest thing I remember. And that, you have your downs and your ups, but just generally a great place to spend time and that, and have a beer and see your family even grow up around there and that, So yeah.
Yep. Then now the club has turned 50 years. It's the 50th anniversary this year. It's a pretty big deal, obviously, for any organisation to last that long and to still be thriving. And from what you've said, the club culture is still strong. We get comments from people visiting clubs coming there, sort of saying they love coming to Kalamunda for games because there's such a good sense of camaraderie around the place afterwards, even though they've been your adversaries, that day. So, as a parting gesture for the 50th anniversary, is there anything that you'd like to sort of state about your time with the club and what you anticipate you'd like to see the club go in the future?
Yeah, it's an interesting point you say there, Robert. And it's always been clubs love coming to Kalamunda and playing. They get fed, they get watered, and they all speak highly of it afterwards and that. So, and I think that's something to be proud of as a club, that we welcome people, make them feel welcome and that, and all around all of WA, all the clubs speak fondly of Kalamunda, so that's an important thing. We continue that tradition. 50 years is huge. It doesn't seem that long ago we had our 25th celebrations. I remember that quite clearly. So 25 years has gone past very quick, and I think it's just important. We hold that tradition going forward. That we are a club that people like to come to and club that people like to play against. We have one premiership under our wing now with Paul King's team of, I think, 2000 and... what year?
7, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2007, I think, when we won the premiership. So that elusive premiership, we actually got a flag on the wall for that. So the bear is off the back there. So just look forward to maybe winning some more in the future. But I think most importantly, just being a club that families can feel comfortable at. Love taking their children down, spending a bit of time there, and keep that wonderful culture that we've got and that down there. Yeah, I think that's probably the most important for any club is the culture that you create, the place that people want to spend time and be around, and obviously success helps, and that's just an added bonus on top of a nice place to be.
Okay, thank you.